Hey, what's up? People Pizowell here, and today I want to talk to you guys about 1986's Spookies. Now, this is partially going to be a review of the movie as well as a review of this new Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release. And I first reviewed Spookies several years ago on this channel. It was part of my File 13 series, and I was motivated to review the film because a fellow YouTuber had asked me if there were any films that legitimately scared me as a kid, and Spookies immediately came to mind. Spookies freaked me out as a kid because Spookies follows the logic, or the anti-logic, of a nightmare. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who had these kinds of dreams growing up. If you did too, please let me know down in the comments section below. But they're the kind of dreams where I was trapped in like a building or a house, and no matter where I ran, no matter where I hid, it, the evil or whatever it was in the dream that I was afraid of, found me. And that's sort of the plot for Spookies. You have this incredibly eclectic group of people, so eclectic as a matter of fact, there's no way that these people would ever hang out with one another. You've got the older button-down kind of yuppie type of people with like these young kind of punk people. And they're driving around in the middle of nowhere looking for a place to party when they happen upon this ostensibly abandoned mansion with a cemetery in the front yard. And looks like the perfect party pad to me. And once inside the mansion, they run afoul of a smorgasbord of monsters. You've got zombies, you've got a Spider Woman, you've got the Grim Reaper, you've got farting muckmen. Farting muckmen. These three creatures, they look like they're made out of dirt, and they fart. When they're on screen, all you hear is so literally every room in this mansion is occupied by a different creature. Behind door number 1, you've got these little serpent demon creatures. Behind door number 2, you've got a witch. Behind door number 3, you've got farting muckmen. And while all this is going on, you've got a withered sorcerer somewhere in the mansion who seems to be controlling everything. A cat creature that's dressed like a pirate and literally has a hook for a hand running around. You've got a little boy in a hood with his face painted like gray or blue with like these cheap dollar store vampire things running around. The sorcerer is holding captive his bride, and how he keeps her alive is by feeding her the souls or the life energies or what have you of the victims of the house. And if you think that sounds like a confusing, convoluted plot, you'd be right on the money. Now, if you've heard anything about Spookies, you've probably heard of its colorful production history. You may have also heard of the rumor that Spookies is actually 2 unfinished films edited together. That's not the case, but that's kind of what this movie feels like. This movie feels like 2 different movies that were sloppily edited together, but that's not the case. Spookies began its life as a film called Twisted Souls, and that's the bulk of this movie. That's the characters who are running around in this mansion, running afoul of different creatures throughout the mansion. While Twisted Souls was in the editing process, the producer fired basically everyone associated with Twisted Souls, brought in another director to write and direct some additional footage, the stuff with the sorcerer, the stuff with the pirate cat creature, and the little boy with the dollar store vampire teeth. All of it was very, very sloppily edited together, and Spookies is the result. Now, Spookies is not a very good movie. Spookies is kind of a train wreck, and when I say that Spookies is sloppily edited together, I mean it is really, really sloppily edited together. The movie looks and feels like 2 different movies train wrecked together. But despite the film not being very good, Spookies has always held a very special place in my heart. It was a movie that I rented from my local video store countless times. Even though the movie freaked me out as a kid, there was something about it that just had me coming back for more. The artwork for Spookies, the poster art that was carried over onto the VHS art for the film, is some of the best, most eye-catching Beautiful artwork for any horror film that I've ever seen. That is some gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. The creatures in this film are also pretty good. Gabe Bartalos was one of the creature designers in Spookies, and all of the creatures look pretty good. The music for Spookies is also quite good, and there's just this very dark, nightmarish atmosphere running through the entire film that's very effective. The performances in the film are pretty good. My favorite character is Rich, played by the late Peter Isillo Jr., who actually commented on my original Spookies review from several years ago and thanked me for being a fan. And he really seemed like the kind of guy who was proud of his work in this film and was appreciative that there were fans of it out there. There's a whole lot that doesn't make sense in Spookies. There's this opening with a little boy who's ran away from home because his parents forgot his birthday, so he decides to go hang out at this abandoned mansion with a cemetery in the front yard for his birthday. You've got the cat creature dressed like a pirate with a hook for a hand. I have no idea what they were thinking there. The last 15 minutes of Spookies is just an absolute mess. The movie goes from being a creature feature to a zombie movie. We've got zombies chasing this woman through the woods, and then the film just ends. There's no resolution. The movie just ends, and by that point, you're just happy that the movie's over. So yes, Spookies is an unmitigated disaster, but somewhere within the train wreck that is Spookies is the heart of a good creature feature. And despite all of its flaws, it does have some great positives in its favor. Like I said, the score is great, the atmosphere is fantastic, the creatures are good, the acting is not bad at all. It all comes together to create this just very odd fever dream catastrophe that I, for one, absolutely love. I'm so happy that this film has finally made its way onto Blu-ray, and I was so pleased to hear that Vinegar Syndrome was releasing it, because this seemed like the perfect movie for Vinegar Syndrome, because I knew Vinegar Syndrome would roll out the red carpet for Spookies, and they absolutely have with this Blu-ray release. First, let's check out the presentation and take a peek at the artwork there on the slipcase. Now, this is just a portion of the original artwork that was on the movie poster and on the VHS for the Spookies that I absolutely fell in love with. But just, again, beautiful, beautiful artwork. Check out the Grim Reaper's eyes shining there. The title, also very shiny. It's raised. It's also raised on both of the spines. Let's check out the back of the slipcase, and there is Creon, and his eyes and teeth shine. Very cool. But yeah, love this slipcase. Vinegar Syndrome offered 2 different slipcases for this release. I chose this one because it just reminds me of that great poster art and VHS artwork for this film. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Just fantastic. The release comes in a clear Blu-ray case, which is very nice. The artwork here on this side of the sleeve is the same as on the front of the slipcase. Here's the back of the release with all of the extras, all of the credits and what have you. This is a region-free release, by the way, which is another very nice touch. It is a 2-disc release. And on the reverse of the sleeve, we have the alternate slipcover artwork that Vinegar Syndrome had available. But this is some very nice artwork as well. Yeah, just a really nice presentation for this release. And this is not just your typical slipcase. This is made of some pretty thick, durable cardboard. So just a really nice quality slipcase. But yeah, just a really nice overall presentation for this release from Vinegar Syndrome. As far as picture quality and sound quality are concerned, this release is newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm original camera negative. This is by far and away the best Spookies has ever looked or probably will ever look. throw those bootlegs away. This is the definitive release for Spookies. I'm going to give this release a perfect score. As far as the picture quality is concerned, a perfect 5 stars. I am blown away by the amount of care and dedication that Vinegar Syndrome gave to this film. For a movie like Spookies to get this kind of, I was going to say restoration, but I'm going to say resurrection. For a movie like Spookies to get this kind of resurrection, it just blows me away. As somebody who's been a fan of this film for as long as I've been a fan of this movie, who doubted that I would ever be holding a legitimate Blu-ray release of it, I am so happy that Vinegar Syndrome gave this film the kind of treatment that they gave it. The picture quality on this release is out freaking standing. Same with the audio quality. I'm going to give the audio quality a perfect score as well. Spookies looks so good and sounds so good on this release from Vinegar Syndrome. As far as extras are concerned, on disc 2, which houses the bulk of the extras, first up we have Twisted Tale, The Unmaking of Spookies. It's 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 54 seconds in length. It includes interviews with co-producer, co-writer, and co-director Brendan Faulkner, producer and writer Frank Farrell, cinematographer Ken Kelch, creature effects artist John Dodds, art director and wife of the late Tom Doran, Cecilia Doran Cosentini, original editor John Donaldson, actors Anthony Valbiro and Nick Giante, makeup effects artist Vincent Gostini and Gabe Bartalos, and more. Basically everything you could possibly want to know about the making of Twisted Souls, the controversy which saw Twisted Souls transformed into Spookies, the legacy of the film, the fandom, and so much more is on this documentary. This documentary is just a love letter to the fans of Spookies. Just an absolutely fantastic making of documentary. It's entertaining, it's informative, it's fun, it's touching, it's just everything that you could possibly want as a Spookies fan. My only 2 wishes were that they could have interviewed Eugenie Joseph, who was the director that was brought on to write and direct the additional footage for Spookies. I know there was an attempt to get her involved in this making of, but unfortunately she, I guess, did not want to participate. And I would have loved for there to have been an interview with Felix Ward, who played the withered sorcerer in Spookies. I would love to hear from him. But all that aside, this is just a fantastic love letter to the fans of Spookies. Awesome, awesome stuff. The documentary also includes optional commentary from co-directors Michael Gingold and Glenn Baisley, and there are 13 minutes and 5 seconds of deleted scenes from the documentary as well. Next up, we get Vipco, The Untold Story. It's 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 21 seconds in length. It includes interviews with Vipco founder and head honcho Michael Lee, as well as a slew of film historians, business partners, and filmmakers who discuss the rise and fall of Vipco, a company in the UK that released a lot of video nasties, which were, as Lee admits, pirated, unlicensed dupes that he made a fortune off of at a time of great censorship of horror films in the UK. Eventually, Lee got busted for piracy and went legit, buying and distributing horror and softcore films that were only available via the Vipco label. And he made all of his movies desirable due to the outrageous and oftentimes graphic cover art for their releases. Now, the Vipco releases, you probably own some of these and may not even know it, but they were the releases that had like the line of skulls at the top of them. A lot of them had no cover art at all. It was just gold letters on a black background. Those were your Vipco releases. And I actually own a couple of those, but had no idea the significance of them until I watched this documentary. Now, Michael Lee is also the producer of Spookies, and he is the reason why Twisted Souls transformed into Spookies. And not a lot of people have very kind words for Mr. Lee, put it that way. But he is definitely a very interesting and colorful character that made this documentary pretty interesting to watch. I do wish they would have gone a little bit more in depth on Spookies in the documentary, but not a big deal. We also get extended interview footage with Michael Lee, which is 26 minutes and 4 seconds in length, and a trailer for this documentary. On disc 1, we get the 2015 Alamo Drafthouse screening intros from both co-director Thomas Doran and co-writer-producer Frank Farrell. We get a Q&A from the 2015 Hudson Horror Show screening with actors Peter Isillo and Anthony Valbiro and production assistant Tom Siacco. It's 20 minutes and 21 seconds in length. We get an archival locations featurette hosted by Peter Isillo, which is 5 minutes and 34 seconds in length. We get 12 minutes and 3 seconds of pinreel, outtakes, and bloopers. We get a behind-the-scenes still gallery and a theatrical trailer. This is an absolutely loaded, awesome release for Spookies from the fine folks over at Vinegar Syndrome. I cannot say enough about this release. If you are a fan of Spookies, you owe it to yourself to pick up this release from Vinegar Syndrome and add it to your collection. I'll put a link to their website down in the description. Go over and check them out. If you're a fan of Spookies, or if you've picked up this Blu-ray, please let me know down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the A Buck a Month Club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Kevin Smythe, B-Movie Mike, Robert Sobel, Turi Delamore, Stephen Flanagan, Lori Holt, Craig Farrand, Farron Sutton, Jeremiah Lambert, Grindhouse Grotto, Derek Jana, Demon Waffles, Simon Clark, Stone Gassman, Zachary Barton, Lorne Dixon, James Welch, Eli Geisler, Jeff Overing, Pete Toll, Kyle McGuire, Jay the Stingray, Andrew McDonald, Dave Barnes, Jonathan Lundy, Chris Gonzalez, The R-Rated Show, Fear Fuel, Jason Breitenbach, Brandon Bizdick, Steak Sauce, Mark Striano, Jeff Gardner, Jacob Green, The Obsoletionist, Chris Earls, Kevin Fitzpatrick, Randall Beatty, Joseph Hinkle, Hey Isn't That Devon Graham, Christian Hannah Horror, and HorrorBreakdown.com. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.